Dorio.
On your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guest this morning is Dr. Marwa Kilani, who is a palliative care doctor. Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, long time no see or hear. Is that it?
No, yeah, it's been probably 5 or 6 months.
I know. Wow. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Dr. Kilani, what is a palliative care doctor?
Well, palliative care is the medical specialty that focuses on quality of life in patients who have serious illness.
Uh-huh.
And by
that, by quality of life, you mean how adaptable they are to staying at home with caregivers, seeing doctors, kind of thing?
Exactly. How they're faring with all of the dynamics. There's not going to be enough palliative care doctors to go around for all of this.
But
no,
still,
the aren't.
The issue should be that we.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What made you decide to go into this area of care?
Well, I came about palliative care when I was in medical school about 20 years ago now, and it was an area that was burgeoning from the hospice movement, really focusing on patients who were still getting active and aggressive treatments for their either their cancers, their end-stage organ disease, and they were living longer because they were getting such great quality care and extra layer of support. And so palliative care focuses on enhancing quality of life by focusing on symptom management, providing psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual support. And we found that patients who received palliative care live longer and live better than patients who are not receiving palliative care and still getting their aggressive treatments.
So it's important that people understand that we have, as human beings in this country, we have choices.
Yes.
And in the past, I think so often the healthcare professionals, especially the doctors, they made choices for their patients and directed them into certain areas of getting certain treatments that in the long run were great and helped people out, but otherwise sometimes affected them negatively. And too often, patients and family members were not allowed to help in that decision-making, which palliative care does help them do.
Yes. And that's the nice thing about palliative care. It's a supportive entity. So it's not put in place to change the course of a patient's treatment. It's really to help with the conversations around treatment and also to align a patient's values with the treatments that are being offered. So it allows for those patients to continue their independent decision-making, but with even more enhanced support and conversation.
Well, is there a specific age that someone goes into palliative care? Is there a rough age there?
No, not at all, actually. There is no age specification, which is also, again, in line with the seriousness of the illness, because there are a lot of young people who are living with serious illness, and they need palliative care just as much as those who are elderly and living with serious illness. So we even provide palliative care services to our neonatal ICU patients because those families need support as well. This is a serious condition and serious illness for some of those NICU babies, and their parents need the support.
Yeah.
But on the other spectrum, with our elderly patients, sometimes I'm asked to see somebody in their 90s just because of their age. And yes, maybe I'll do some advanced care planning, but I really have nothing else to share because they're doing quite well. So it's not based on age. It's definitely based on the disease process and where they're at in their disease process.
So let's talk a little bit about the problem at hand with coronavirus.
Yes.
So we know that statistically, a high number of our older adults are affected by this virus, and certainly there are life-saving and enhancing procedures that are being done now that can help get people through this. But these decisions need to be communicated as best as you can beforehand. We cannot predict when a patient is going to be ill and where that illness is going to take them. That's impossible. But we can, in certain circumstances, say, hey, if certain things happen and I'm in this situation, I want to let you know that this is what I want done. And that communication should be done the best you can prior to any of this taking place. So with COVID-19, the one thing that I think that this has brought forward is the need to have a discussion as to whether you want treatments not just for coronavirus, but for other entities as well. And that needs to be put out there, that if you haven't had a discussion about end of life, where you want your life to go, the extent of treatment that you might have, you need to be talking to the people around you, your loved ones, family members, as to what direction you want them to take you, should you not be able to make that decisions on your own.
That's correct. And it's, I think this is the time, it's coincidental that this outbreak really peaked at the time of National Healthcare Decision Day. It is very important for your listeners to develop an advance directive, have good conversations with their families as to the types of treatments that they would want and would not want under certain circumstances. One of the things that we have found is the misconception that coronavirus is just affecting people's lungs, for instance. And folks are thinking that, well, I could just be on a ventilator for a period of time and then I'll be fine. Well, that's not actually the case. These patients are very sick when they are at the point of needing a ventilator, and it's more than just their lungs that are affected. So it's extremely important for your listeners to have good conversations with their families about all these elements of treatments that are available, potential end-of-life care, and even what is quality of life to them at this point in time.
Exactly.
Very interesting. It's interesting. I think to myself, gee, Barbara, how long are you going to live? How much longer? I'm not old. I'm just older.
Right.
Yeah.
But how much older am I going to get? I mean, I'm in relatively good health. I walk. I sit. I do jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah.
And in fact, I have a couple of friends. We're trading jigsaw puzzles back and forth.
Pretty cool.
Oh, That's wonderful. I am such a huge fan of jigsaw puzzles. I think I'm on puzzle number 6 for the pandemic.
I got you beaten. I'm on number 7.
Oh, man.
It's interesting. My granddaughter was down about a week or so ago, and she said, Nanny, you're doing jigsaw puzzles. She says, I remember when I was 5 years old, and we used to do jigsaw puzzles. I said, that's right. And she's now 30 years old.
Wow.
But we used to love to do them. And I thought, gee, what an incredible memory for her to have.
Yes.
Pretty neat. It's a good memory.
Yes. A very good memory. Very good. And my daughter says, Mom, I'll take this one home. I'll take this one home and do it. And then she said, Mother, those pieces are too tiny. I said, what do you mean too tiny? She likes bigger piece jigsaw puzzles. I like the small ones. Oh, well.
That's wonderful.
Oh, yes. I'm having fun doing it. I really am.
Well, that's
so
quality
Dr.
of
Kilani,
life.
Sure is. And so, Dr. Kilani, when, there are listeners right now who are understanding the threats to our seniors and their loved ones. So how do you broach this idea to start this conversation? For years we have talked on the Senior Hour about talking to family members about what you want or what your loved one wants. And sometimes sitting from the viewpoint of a child, of a son or daughter, talking to their mother or father, it's not an easy topic of end of life to bring up.
Right.
How does one go about, bringing this conversation up and starting it out so that, especially with the threats that are taking place right now to our senior population, how do you start this conversation?
I think the most important way to start off the conversation is to share with the family what are the things that are important to you. So I can say that when my parents had talked to me about their wishes, the things that are important to them is being able to spend time with family, being able to communicate, and also being able to be in their own home if they were so debilitated that they are strongly against going to a nursing home, and that's also very cultural. Nursing homes back where my parents are from in Cairo, Egypt, are really not like the nursing homes here. They're places where patients go to die, essentially. So their perception of nursing homes is not, it's not a place where they would ever want to be. So, taking that into account, when we've had conversation about, is it okay to have short-term treatments of ventilation? Would they want to be resuscitated? Things like that. They've been very clear about their wishes. So, a short-term course is agreeable, but nothing long-term. They would not want to be resuscitated because they know, both of them, that they are elderly, and the likelihood of the resuscitation being effective and having them return to a good quality of life is pretty unlikely. So they are strong believers in dying naturally. I know my dad would never want to be on artificial nutrition, so a feeding tube is not something that he would ever want. So those are the things you have to start off with. Where are you at right now? What is your baseline looking like? And then go from there as to what what could you give up, and what are the things that are considered deal breakers for your life. And so some may say, well, if I can't sit and watch TV all day, that's a deal breaker, right? Mm-hmm. So it really depends on each individual person, and that's why it's very personalized. Every person's going to say something different. For instance, Barbara may say something different than her husband who has just recently passed, as to what's important to her, as opposed to her husband, based on what their needs and desires are. But oftentimes we are basing it on our cultural values, our religious values, a lot of elements that we have to take into account.
Yeah, I understand that. And Dr. Kilani, we have to take a break.
Oh.
And we'll be back in a few moments. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS.
This is Suzette Martinez Valadares. Many child care centers are closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The child care providers that are open are serving our essential workforce and finding it very difficult to find or purchase the supplies needed to keep their facilities clean and children healthy. Our healthcare professionals are fighting to save lives. First responders and law enforcement are bravely serving our community, and our grocery store clerks are keeping our local markets stocked. This is our chance to help them. This is why we are launching Operation Childcare. Our mission is to collect donations for local early childhood education providers serving our frontline essential workforce. Donations needed include hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, disinfectant spray, disposable gloves, and masks. These donations can be dropped off at KHTS Radio, located at 24320 Main Street in Newhall, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
With locations throughout the valley, Providence offers the most advanced technology and therapies for treating cancer in Southern California. Call 1-888-HEALING for your annual checkup or second opinion. The road to healing leads to Providence.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker has been ranked the 15th most influential person in the entire Santa Clarita Valley in 2010 by the Santa Clarita Valley Business Journal. When everything is on the line, call the Hacker Law Group.
He broke records and piloted the F-18 Super Hornet in combat. Answering our nation's call, he served with honor. Then Mike Garcia returned home to his family, to a far worse California from where he grew up. Now, Garcia's next mission: cut taxes, clean up homelessness in our cities. With California on the brink, we need a fighter to answer the call once again. Mike Garcia for Congress.
I'm Mike Garcia, and I approve this message.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host, Barbara Cochran, on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM, KHTS. We are talking with Marwa Kilani, who is a palliative care physician, head of palliative care at Providence Holy Cross. And, you know, we talked earlier about having end-of-life discussion. And I've said it on this show, and I say it to my patients and families. My initials are GRD, not GOD. And because I, we understand this concept, we don't always know exactly when patients are really ill, the direction that they are going to go.
Absolutely. You nailed it.
Their care is at that, it's personalized, yes. You know, they want certain things, but sometimes situationally, you don't always know the direction and the extent of how patients are going to do. The majority of my patients who have been intubated and on life support, supposedly, on a ventilator, they have survived and they have gone home. We even see today patients with coronavirus who are intubated, and they are intubated for 14 to 17 to 20 days. They come off the ventilator and they go home, and we celebrate that. We celebrate that at the hospitals where there's a coronation as they leave the hospital and have survived. So we don't always know because of the situation and probably the condition of the patient and their constitutional symptoms, what and how they're going to do. So it's not always set in stone that you don't get ventilated, you don't go on a ventilator, that you don't get a feeding tube, that you don't get an IV. There are certain situations for sure that, you know, that you're especially, unfortunately, with our cancer patients, that they face a different realm and direction. But it's so difficult, Dr. Kilani, to be in your position because, you know, you want people to have a conversation about where they want to go and what their quality of life is, that they want to go home and not be in a nursing home. But how do you broach that discussion when, for the most part, you and I and others, you know, their initials are not GOD. We are human beings, and we don't always know. It is not an easy task for you.
No, it's not. It's a daunting task. It is. It's a tough conversation. It's tough to bring everybody around the table too to have the conversation, because there are members of the family that either don't want to hear it or don't want to participate, and they just want to keep their rosy glasses on. And at the same time, sometimes we have to clarify things that things aren't as bad as you think they are too. Mm-hmm. So the important thing is to sit with the patient and be in the moment, and then bring the family into that conversation. So mm-hmm. staying in the moment is really the key to this whole variable. Mm-hmm. And if you stay in the moment and say, okay, here we're at today, this is what we're doing, this is how we're treating things, let's kind of extend that process over the next few days and get an idea of where things are at. I think as long as you're staying in the moment, not planning too far ahead, then you're safe. One of the things that you mentioned just now in regards to the ventilation, yes, I can tell you from our experience here at Providence Holy Cross, we have seen patients come off the ventilator with this COVID-19 virus and have done phenomenal. In fact, I was just sharing about a patient who walked out of this hospital 2 days ago, who had been on a ventilator for 2 weeks. He was so ill, we didn't think he was going to make it when he first came in. And he walked out and went home.
Wow.
And that is amazing. And it is something to celebrate. Absolutely. It's great to celebrate for the patient and his family, and also for the staff and all the hard work that they've done. And we stayed in the moment with this patient and his family. So if things were really bad, we had to prepare the family. Listen, things are really bad, but we're still treating him as best as we can. And as things improved, we would have lighter conversations. And once we hit the discharge date, we again emphasize the importance of advanced care planning, making your wishes known, and really it was a moment to celebrate and appreciate life. And you're right, none of us have the initials of GOD, and we have to be very very human about what are the realities of what we can provide.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say that there aren't miracles, and indeed we're seeing some great work and stories that are coming out surrounding this kind of illness, but it's really coming from the intense care provided by the healthcare professionals in all the hospitals in our country that are helping those who are very ill make it through this. And my colleagues, I am so proud of, from here to back east, who have given everything they can, their hearts, minds, and souls. And I know some of them will suffer because of what they've seen, but they haven't given up. And in a time where this has hit, this new virus has taken over, we have learned to be able to work and collaborate and fight back. But because of the extreme effort from so many healthcare professionals that are out there, that are giving their all, many people will be saved. And I thank them for that. So if you are a frontline healthcare professional, thank you. Thank you from the deepest part of our heart to all of you who are still working hard to save people in our community.
And I think a lot of it has to do with state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Keeping an upbeat attitude really helps a great deal.
Oh my gosh, it's huge. Because
it really is.
That's a big positive energy flow. And you need to remain positive as much as possible.
And sometimes it's hard to do, It really is. I mean, I've been in situations where it's very hard to keep a positive mind and a positive outlook. But in the long run, it is the most productive thing you can do, is think ahead and think happy as much as you can.
Yes, absolutely. Makes such a difference.
It really does, and it helps you be positive.
And you really understand that emotion of fear. And, you can have that fear, but you don't want it to lead into panic. Because once you have panic, then you're not making good decisions. So you have to try not to let your emotions advance as far as panic, and stay within the realm of fear, yes. Because within the realm of fear, you can still ask good questions. You can still interact with your family and get a gist and an idea of what needs to be done. But once you start going into the realm where you're panicking, then you're done. And your loved one could be as well. So let's not go there. Let's stay back and try to understand, what this virus is. And we don't know. As of January 1st of this year, we didn't know much about this virus at all. And we still don't know how it behaves. But if you constantly update yourself and become educated and listen to the right people and get the right information, you won't go off on a separate tangent. Yes, you can live in fear, but don't live in panic. If you live in panic, then those decisions that you might have to make are not going to be worthy. But we should turn to those who are well-educated, who help others face
You're listening to the Senior Hour on KHTS. It appears that we have lost the connection to their phone call. We're going to take a quick commercial break, get them back online, and we will finish off the show. Again, you're listening to the Senior Hour on your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Your building sign is essential to getting customers to your location. Feathers can help you get your business noticed. Feathers, now in a new, larger space with plenty of parking. They walk you through each phase of your project with special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will provide you with a sign that you can be proud of. Your sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Visit Feathers online at feathersigns.com or go to Feathers' brand new, bigger location at 26017 Huntington Drive off Rye Canyon or call 298-9442.
Town Cleaners on Soledad is offering free dry cleaning for all first responders and medical personnel. Free pickup and delivery is also available. Call Mo at 250-1542. 250-1542. Town Cleaners on Soledad.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Aloha, friends! Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
And now for your convenience, a second Honu location at 23502 Lyons Avenue between Peachland and Apple. As the stay-at-home order continues, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Marwa Kilani, who is a palliative care doctor. And what an interesting conversation we've had.
Yeah, and we got cut off somewhere along the line.
Yes.
Maybe a blackout we're used to doing this, but sometimes there are little glitches, and, we don't know exactly where we got cut off, but we had to shoot to a commercial right away, so we apologize to our listeners. But I do think one of the things we were talking about are the resources that our listeners, especially our senior listeners, can turn to that might be helpful for them to get good information. And, of course, the first place we need to look at is the site, the KHTS website, which has lots of information concerning the coronavirus and the information related to seeking help in Santa Clarita. So if you want to see that, you can go on our site, and right at the top at the banner, you can hit that, and lots of stuff, like especially what I use it for is to figure out where I'm going to get in line early to be able to get into some of these grocery stores so that I don't have to line up now in the sun later in the day.
Well, I think most of the grocery stores have a designated hour for seniors.
Right, and sometimes you can call the store and find out what time that is, or you can look it up on these websites.
That's true. That's true. And that's very helpful, especially
very
for
helpful.
It really is. Because I was at the grocery store yesterday, and, of course, everybody had their mask on. Everybody was wearing gloves, and there was a designated spot between each person who went in line. There was someone there making sure that that happened, and that was fantastic. It really was. Very comfortable.
And I think it's important that we adhere to what the public health people say, what the government people say. As a matter of fact, we had a city council meeting last night, and, I tell you, I give credit to our city council folk because they were there at City Hall, and they were abiding by the rules, and even our mayor sometimes even wore a mask. And people still got to speak and give their input, and, it's not going to be perfect yet. But we are working toward getting that perfection that is needed to make sure that we all do things the same in government and business and everywhere else. So, the City Hall has their great resources. Cameron Smythe, our mayor, comes out, I think, 3 days a week and brings us up to date as the things that are going on. And websites will do it as well. I think that's important that people get valid, worthy information. And, that's hard to do, isn't it, that we, Dr. Kilani, that we try to, as physicians, make sure that we're up to date on treatment plans and treatment modalities. And it's not easy for us to be able to find that all the time, is it?
No, it's not. And in fact, just to kind of give you an idea of what we've been doing at Holy Cross is we have a clinical task force that's been in place for at least 6 weeks now, where all of the medical leadership is on an 8:30 phone call every morning for an hour discussing every element of how we're going to proceed with the day. And frankly, each day comes with a new challenge, and we're learning things on the fly oftentimes. So we are lucky that we were able to learn from our sister hospitals up in Washington State in advance. So we learned some of the protocols and procedures that they had implemented, and how best to proceed with all of the necessary, the testing, the equipment, the treatment, the visitor policy. Everything had already been pretty well established by the time things rolled down here in California. So we've learned so much. We're still learning every day. But, yes, it's very important for us to look at proper resources and sources of information. So one of the things that I like to do every day at 5:15 in the afternoon is listen to Mayor Eric Garcetti's deliverance of he has a newscast every day at 5:15, and that's been so helpful just to get an idea of what LA County is doing.
Yeah, LA City, correct.
Yeah, LA City, and so it's tremendous, and I love the fact that our mayors are keeping us all up to speed, because That's our local resource, and we need to stick with our local arenas. Because things in New York are so much different than they are for us here in California.
Yeah. I've had conversations with physicians in New York and New York City, online with groups of intensivists and pulmonologists who are dealing with it every day, who you can tell by their voice. There's a lot of emotion involved, but they're trying to stay focused on the best treatment plans that they're finding success with, sharing that with their friends around the country, helping us out here, and getting a better understanding of what's happened in China and in Italy, and the first places that had to deal with it, what has worked and what hasn't worked. This has not been easy, but how lucky we are to have the cell phones and the computers to be able to do this and achieve this. I mean, when we had our last big pandemic in 1918, we didn't have that. We didn't have this technology. Now we do. So it is, it's not flipping a coin anymore. It's not knowing that viruses exist or don't exist. We know they exist. It's being able to get the best technology and the best information now. And that's what we're so lucky about. I don't want to fight a war with 1918 equipment. I want to fight a war with modern technology. And we are doing that and utilizing that now, which I think is so important for the people in this country and the people around the world that we're able to do this. So I'm very proud and feel lucky that we have this technology available to us, and that we have the people, the personnel, and the thinkers that are putting this together, whether it be the city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, the state of California. These are our leaders right now. Here in Santa Clarita, we have looked at them and said, wow, we have our little city here. We have leadership all the way to the Sacramento and are able to participate in this. So we are very lucky.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
So I'm thankful that if for not, we are going to make it through this. Our seniors will have to battle their way through this as well. The discussions that they need to still have, whether we have solved this coronavirus or not, will need to take place in terms of end-of-life care. But in terms of guidance, always turn to your primary care doctor, always turn to your palliative care doctor, because they can be more than helpful in getting you through this.
Absolutely.
And the main thing is to think positive.
Yes. And any questions you have, reach out to your primary care doctor, because I've had patients, family members who are actually at home sick and they just don't know where to turn to, and I keep telling them, call your doctor. They're waiting for you too to have a conversation about your health. So make sure you connect with your primary care doctor.
That's right. That's what they're there for.
Yep, absolutely.
And Dr. Kilani, we talked about fear. You, I, Barbara, we're all living in fear. No doubt about that. But we're not going to panic in this situation. We're going to learn from this. We're going to make judgments. We're going to make good decisions. We are going to move forward. And how hard is that going to be? It's going to be hard. But you know something? We've made it through worse. I guarantee it. We had an earthquake in 1994 that hit us really hard here in Santa Clarita. We made it through that. We've made it through so many. I lived through the Watts riots, and my friends and I look back, and over 50 years later, we're able to say we made it through it. So.
And I lived through the Second World War.
And Barbara,
with all the bombs popping around me.
Exactly. So don't live in panic.
Literally.
We can have fear, but don't live in panic. We can move we can move forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me on this show. It's always so special to be here with you guys.
Well, it's good to have you back after so many months.
Yes.
Don't stay away so long.
Well, we appreciate your being on. We appreciate you bringing to light once again decision-making and what needs to be done and evaluating one's quality of life and what the supportive entities are that are out there for them. Thank you, Dr. Kilani. Dr. Marwa Kilani, palliative care physician from Providence Holy Cross Hospital. Thank you again for being on our show.
Thanks so much, guys. Be safe and be careful.
Thank you. Be well.
Same with everybody else. Be safe. We are sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care and Advanced Audiology. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.